You're listening to BFM 89.9, the business station.
Tell us more about Genaxis. Of course, you're a company that provides consultancy services, software solutions, training programs. Tell us more about Genaxis.
Okay, Genaxis was basically set up in 2002. We started out as a software distributor for a Six Sigma. It's a Six Sigma software. So we became the best distributor, sole distributor for Malaysia. After doing that for 2 years, we ventured into Six Sigma consulting, which is actually a solution to actually improve productivity, improve profitability of an organization. So we've been doing this since 2004 till now, and we have recently been certified by American Society of Quality as their partner for Six Sigma in Malaysia. So we're the only one in Malaysia right now which has that certification.
So over the years, how many companies here in Malaysia, organizations have applied Six Sigma?
Wow, that's a good question. I don't have the numbers actually, but based on my experience, I would say mainly these are MNCs, big companies like Titan Chemicals, GE, Malaysian Airlines. They are already going for Six Sigma. GLCs, government-linked companies, people like Petronas, people like Telecom, and the whole of group is definitely going for Six Sigma because they are in our portfolio of clients. That's basically the clients that are going for Six Sigma. SMEs are still not there yet because they have this idea that Six Sigma is actually too big for them. So it's actually a wrong idea that they have, but we're trying to break that mindset.
Of course, Six Sigma is originally developed by Motorola, as I think in many literatures you can find.
Yep.
Tell us all about Six Sigma.
Okay, Patrick, I can give you a 20-day class talking about Six Sigma, but I think
we only have 20 minutes. That's all you have.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you Six Sigma in a nutshell.
Okay.
Yeah. You were right. Six Sigma was actually developed by Motorola in the 1980s. Okay. Actually, Six Sigma is not a new concept. It has been in the market long before that. By the Japanese, they've been using this concept of continuous improvement.
The Kaizen factor.
Kaizen factor, or zero defect concept. If you've heard of the zero defect concept. Now, Six Sigma is similar. What is different is just that Six Sigma use this terminology called defect per million opportunity, which means every million opportunities. Let's take an example of you submitting a MAID application form. I like to use the example because I'm going through that right now. A MAID application form to the immigration department. Okay, every 1 million people that submit to the immigration department, they have a target that says you will be approved within 3 days. Now, only 3.4 does not get approved within 3 days. That is considered a defect. So can you imagine how perfect your process is? Every 1 million time, only 3.4 times you fail. So it's nearing the concept of zero defect. So it is actually a set of tools or method that you actually implement in handling a problem that you have in organization. Not just a problem or a situation or an opportunity. People can use it to improve profitability. You can use it to reduce defect or improve your quality, improve your cycle time, and also for growth of the company. So, for example, if you're venturing into a new market, you don't know what product you should sell over there. But Six Sigma have a model for you to actually analyze or study in terms of how or what product you want to carry into a new market.
What would be the cost of a company actually adopting Six Sigma as one of their processes, going through the training?
Okay, Six Sigma can be a very expensive exercise. Okay, for one person to be certified as a black belter, we call it, don't worry, it's not a taekwondo thingy,
we know knocking down the competition, but having a black belter, that's going beyond imagination, isn't it?
Yeah, in Six Sigma, we use the concept of the taekwondo, okay? We have green belt, we have black belts. Now, why do you use this terminology? It's just simply because the guy who created Six Sigma in Motorola, the children were going through taekwondo classes at that time. So he came out with this terminology for green belt and black belt. What's the difference? It's just the number of tools that they learn and the different type of problems that they can solve. That's all. So for a company to get someone to be certified as a black belt, we call it a Six Sigma black belt, it will cost them somewhere between the region of 17,000 to 25,000 Malaysian. Okay, so that is an expensive exercise. So the point here is what do they get in return? Now, for a company who is investing that amount, they would expect return. So for Six Sigma, every black belter that is supposed to go through the training, and you have to complete a project during that time frame of training. So normally a black belt will go through a 20-day class in a period of 4 to 5 months. In that duration, you're supposed to complete a project. Now, a project must be selected in your own company. So that project will then, let's say for example, is a project on reducing overtime. Okay, so you would work on a project in terms of why do we have such high overtimes and what are the factors affecting overtime. Then you will come up with solutions, okay, to the management and say, these are the reasons why we are doing overtime. This is the new model that we are implementing. Now the management would approve that and it will come with a financial impact. A finance person must endorse the financial impact. Now a black belt in the industry, internationally, to be certified as a black belt, you must save the company $1 million. That is international. So in Malaysia, we have scaled it down in Genaxis. We have scaled it down to 1.5 million ringgit for you to be certified as a black belt. For you to be certified as a green belt, anywhere between 250,000 to 500,000, you can be certified as a green belt.
But bringing down that expectation because of maybe the market capitalization in Malaysia as opposed to foreign countries who also, some of them may adopt Six Sigma, how does that put a Malaysian company in comparison with a foreign-based company that applies Six Sigma when you bring down the expectations of cost savings?
No, it's not bringing down, I don't think it's bringing down the quality or bringing down our value, no. But it's just that we look at the dollar-to-dollar value. You don't convert that US dollar to Malaysian dollars. So it's just, if you look at it dollar-to-dollar, it's 1 million US and 1.5 million ringgit, we are more. Mm-hmm. So we just look at the dollar-to-dollar comparison, that's all.
For an SME, like you say, most of them have this perception that, I don't need Six Sigma. Give us some examples of how it has worked through companies that have come to Genaxis. How has it worked for SMEs?
Okay, for SMEs, they cannot afford, they can't afford to go for a full-blown Six Sigma deployment where everybody gets trained. Like for example, in GE, if you're not a certified black belt, you can never be promoted as a manager in General Electric. So it has become a culture. So as an SME, you cannot straight away jump to that level. So you got to start somewhere. So when they come to us, we will probably, normally what we'll do is we'll ask them, what are your main expenditure item? Okay, we will analyze, we have this thing called Pareto analysis in Six Sigma. We will analyze their expenses and we'll look at the top 3 bars, okay, the highest item that they spent on. And then we'll say, right now, 80% of your spending actually come from these 3 areas. So we're going to do a project that will focus on these 3 areas, or 3 projects that will focus on these 3 areas. Now from that project, you'll be able to save maybe, normally when we do Six Sigma, we do a target of 20 to 30% of the expenditure item. So if that 3 bars is actually costing you about 10 million, for SME that's a lot. Yeah, so 30% would be 3 million savings. So in just doing a simple identification like that, you can save 3 million, which means for SME is increased profitability. So when you reduce your cost, your profit goes higher.
We've spoken to a few people, business advisors as well, and they say in this economic climate, it's time for us to rethink and relook at our processes. Six Sigma is pretty much, has been written elsewhere. There's nothing original about it. It's just, like you said, similar like the zero defect or the Kaizen factor, but with some new terminologies like, green belts and master black belts and things like that. How do you expect people to actually, accept Six Sigma? What makes it different from others?
Okay, what makes Six Sigma so popular now with the C-levels? C-levels are CEOs, CFOs. Why is it popular with them? Simply because it tags improvement with dollar signs. Now, Six Sigma is not new, as I said it, but the Americans made it, they have marketed improvement so well in packaging it in what they call as Six Sigma. The Japanese have been doing it all this while. We have had all the other continuous improvement tools, but the Americans have come up with a way how they package Six Sigma very well, and it has been marketing through improvement equivalent to dollar signs. So that's why Six Sigma sells, okay? Because all this while most companies have been doing improvement. But how much does that improvement impact your bottom line? That is a question that everybody asks. Sometimes people look at quality as cost. Why do I have to do this? It's going to add cost. But if you calculate cost of poor quality, so in Six Sigma, we have this model called calculation of cost of poor quality. So which means that you calculate, if you have defects, you have poor processes, how much does it cost the company? So if you spend money on improving or reducing the cost of poor quality, any CEOs or MD of a company would buy into Six Sigma. Why companies buy? It's because it can give you a guaranteed result in terms of if you do this, this is how much money I can save your company.
Is it for every level in a company, from top to bottom, CEOs, MD, all the way down to frontliners?
Yeah, okay. This is a very good question. Now, everybody asks me, why do you think Six Sigma will work? Because from our experience, it doesn't. Yeah, I will tell you, it won't work. Why it won't work, yeah? It won't work if your MD don't buy into it. It won't work if your CEOs don't buy into it. It won't work if your CFOs don't buy into it. Now, Six Sigma is a culture change approach. It's all basically talking about when we make a decision, we've got to have data. Now, everybody makes decision, but they makes it based on experience or assumptions most of the time. Yeah, but Six Sigma help you to give the niche because it gives you the capability to analyze your data with all the sets of tools, and then you come up with a decision or a risk matrix that says, if you make decision A, this is your risk, make decision B, this is your risk. So CEOs, MDs would buy into this because it's something that they need to use on a daily basis.
BFM 89.9, the business station. You're listening to BFM 89.9, the business station.
From what you're describing, it has to do very much with gathering of data, statistics, and proving it back to say that this is where everything is wrong. It's all factual. This is what the stats say. CEOs and MDs and CFOs can actually see where actually they went wrong rather than gathering information from the ground up. Would that be right?
Now, this is the culture that we have here, yeah? Whenever I go into any organization, the question I'll ask is, do you have a problem? No. We are fine. That's a common thing, yeah? It's because sometimes when we don't measure our processes, we will never know whether we are good or bad. It's as simple as that. But when you start measuring, then you'll say, oh, actually we're not that good. Now, give you a simple example. Let's go back to, let's say, a maintenance of an equipment, right? Your company is involved in, let's say, logistic company, maintenance of buses. Okay. Yeah. So every buses that you go on, and then we have all these accident issues and all that right now. I would love it for logistic company to go into Six Sigma. It's actually a bus will have its time for maintenance where it's due to go into maintenance. Yeah. So it's like you will do a study in terms of how long is an average time a bus can be on the road. Now, if you, based on your assumption, you'll just say every 5,000 kilometers it'll go, every 10,000 kilometers it'll go. But Six Sigma also asks you to look at cost factor. Do you really need to go at 5,000? Do you really need to go at 10,000 again? So what we ask you to do is we ask you to analyze at how many kilometers does your oil fail? At how many kilometers does your radiator fail? How many kilometers does your tire need to actually be changed? Now, how do you get this information? By collecting them.
But if you're a new company, maybe in operations for 3 months in logistics or transportation, the wear and tear has not occurred yet. Where do you gather this kind of information? Do you wait for it to happen or you look at case studies?
Yeah, okay. You can actually look at case studies or you can benchmark, what we call as benchmarking. So you have data from other companies, you benchmark. That is if you're lucky. Most of the time, competitors won't share this type of information. Indeed. So we say, Six Sigma, you can also do it by collecting data at the same time as you're doing it. So it's like, right now you say, I don't know what is my wear and tear. I don't know what's the average time that I need to change. That's fine. Collect them. So Six Sigma requires a minimum of 30 data, we call it 30 points. So you can collect it in a period of 1 month, or you can collect it in a period of 2 months. You can do your analysis. But that's better. If you're a new company, you have a set of procedures on how to collect your data, you will continue improving yourself. But the worst part is if you've been operating for 20 years and you still don't know what data you should collect. And most companies are like that.
Not being able to obtain those data, not having those benchmarks in terms of optimal performance for Malaysian companies, I believe you have approached many people to tell them about Six Sigma and hope that they will adopt this training procedure and apply them as a culture.
Yep.
What's lacking with Malaysian-made companies in terms of better productivity, better quality? Of course, when you say quality, you're looking at a car that runs on axles and four wheels, and there has been quality issues with many of Malaysian-made products as well.
Yep.
How can you see it improving? Let's look at it at 2 points. One, why are they not consistently improving? Because some companies have been around for 20 years, but somewhat quality does not improve based on those number of years.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't they improving? And why is there no drive factor in it?
Okay, let's answer the first question first. It's the easiest one. First one is, why do people continue doing business for 20 years, not improving their product quality? Now, I won't say that they are not improving. They are, but they're not improving up to a certain expectation of the customer. Yeah. If we are car buyers, we have a certain expectation in terms of how a car should run. Like what you say, it has to have 4 wheels, and the windows should function, the doors should function, the aircon should function, So these are what we call in Six Sigma voice of the customer. Okay. Now in Six Sigma, when you want to improve your product, we tell you to do a survey from your customer. There's no point improving. Let's take an example of a car. Okay. You say you want to improve to a new version. You have now car A version 1. Now you want to go to car A version 1.1, right? Now in your design roadmap, you actually say, okay, I want to change the front bit of the car or the lights. Now what does your customer say? Do they care about the lights? Now in Six Sigma, we say before you do that change, now have a survey, what we call as voice of a customer, from your customer, from your market, and do an analysis of what they want to see improved in your car, what they want to see change in your car, what are they not happy in your car. Now from that data, you then go back into your process. Now, there are certain times when we make improvement to the product, the customer don't care. We don't care. You say you come up with a better design, so what? Why should I pay more for that design? That is where we say improvement should come from the customer. Then it will hit your bottom line. If you're improving your product and customer doesn't care about it, who do you expect to buy your product?
I guess it's a relationship between two people as well. If you don't understand your other half better and provide what your other half likes and don't do anything that she doesn't like, I guess the relationship will be stronger.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like you're let's say I'm the wife, and I'll just tell you every day, this is what I want you to do, and you just turn around doing something else. So what do you do at the end of the day? I'll file for a divorce. Yeah. Okay. We get separated. I'll look for a new brand.
Of course, in a business perspective, you lose your customer.
You lose your customers. That's the thing.
That's very detrimental to business.
Correct.
Getting to the second part of the question.
Why is there no drive? I think it's got to do with culture. Yeah. The passion of doing work. Give you an example. If you get a receptionist and you tell the receptionist, fax this letter, what is the typical process that this fellow will do? Fax a letter. And then half an hour later, you will ask that girl, have you faxed the letter? Yes. Did they receive it? I don't know. Typical answer, right? Now, what in a process of Six Sigma we would expect is that, or rather passion of doing the job, fax the letter, call the person, confirm receipt, come back to me and say, received. Yeah, that's passion of doing a job. But unfortunately, we don't have that many people with passion for doing the job.
Does it start from leaders?
I am one believer in that. I would find that it is not a leader's job to motivate their employees.
It is not.
It's not. But it is our job to keep them motivated. It's two different things. I can't motivate you to get out of bed every day. That's your part. But when you come to work, I'll keep you motivated. That's my job. Okay, so that is my belief. So leaders have to show example that they want quality. But if leaders start to close one eye in terms of, oh, okay, there's an error here, there's an error there, it's okay, it will go down the line. And at the end of the day, what your customer gets is diluted quality. So we in Malaysia typically have got this culture of, tak apalah, okay lah, it's okay lah, what you expect? So that culture have got to change, because very rarely do I see people going to counters and demanding that they are not happy. Every time I go anywhere, government agencies, I'll be the one doing that. And I'll be like, in Six Sigma, we call it an outlier. Okay? This is a weird person out there from the norm. So that is where we need to change our culture. Start demanding for what is right for you. Means that, am I supposed to wait here for 1 hour or am I supposed to wait here for 15 minutes? If you go anywhere at the counter and you just say, there's nothing, there's no sign saying how long I should wait, ask. When you start asking, people will then take action against what you're asking for.
BFM 89.9, the business station.